This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, RIP and congratulations to Jimmy Carter, our 39th president. I thought he was the worst president of my lifetime by far until Joe Biden came along and unseated Jimmy Carter for that title. I think there's no doubt about it. Carter was an awful president. Let's not sugarcoat it just because he passed away. There is no metric you can use that would make Carter anything but a disaster as president. But I will say this for Jimmy Carter. He was not a bad human being. He was a terrible president and a good man by all accounts. And you can't say that about Joe Biden. Joe Biden's a terrible president and a terrible human being. So I'm going to give Joe Biden the title. Jimmy Carter went to the Naval Academy. He served his country. He went home to Georgia where he worked on his peanut farm, which means he actually had a real job in the private sector, which Joe Biden has never done. And Jimmy Carter did not enrich himself. He did not use the office to make him and his family rich, which you can't say about any other Democrat president in the last 50 years. We know Bill Clinton's gotten rich, Barack Obama, and certainly Joe Biden has gotten rich. And I don't think Jimmy Carter, I've read a lot about Carter over the last day. I don't think he ever showered with his daughter. I don't think he ever sent his crackhead son around the world to collect money as the bagman, the front man of a money laundering operation, of an influence peddling scheme. No, Jimmy Carter didn't do that. You will hear many eulogies about Carter today and the coming days. There's going to be a state funeral on January 9th. We are supposed to fly our flags at half staff for 30 days in honor of the 39th president. Just an amazing life when you think about it. He was an ex-president longer than John F. Kennedy lived. He was out losing in a landslide in 1980 to Ronald Reagan. And since then, what do we know about Carter? He went home. He didn't stay in D.C. We didn't see him out there lobbying, working, getting rich. He stayed married to the same woman for 77 years. Pretty amazing. And did not disgrace his family or this country, did not sell out this country as far as we know. I don't think his net worth, I haven't checked his net worth. I'm going to guess it's a little short of Obama's and Clinton's and Joe Biden's. We don't know what Joe Biden's net worth is. Maybe we'll never know. But we do know now that he is a lame duck. He is playing out the string here. We know he has been lying to us for 4 years. The media has been lying to us for 4 years. And now they can tell you the truth.
Take a guess of his net worth. I just found it.
Jimmy Carter's net worth, I'll say $7 million.
10.
$10 million. That's like 3 speeches for Barack Obama.
Yeah.
We know he worked famously for Habitat for Humanity, banging nails, building homes for the poor. So I will say this. I don't think he was a bad guy. I think he was a terrible president, and I lived through it. Not only do I remember gas lines, but I remember working at a gas station. I pumped gas in Carter's final years, and one of my jobs was actually to give the sign that said "last car" at the back of the line, and you would give it to the car, and then you would stand there and watch to make sure he didn't give it to the car behind him or sell it to the car behind him. But we had rationed gas. We had inflation at 13%, interest rates over 15%. We had hostages held in Iran for 444 days. There's a lot of similarities between the Biden administration and the Carter administration. Both disastrous presidencies led to a populist, charismatic successor. We got Ronald Reagan because Carter was so bad. And now we're going to get Donald Trump once again because Joe Biden is so bad. And in his final days, Biden is going to do as much damage as possible. He has 21 days to go. It's hard to believe. 3 weeks left for this national nightmare. And it's going to be fun watching the media try to save face after lying and covering up for 4 years. It's going to be, he's going to do some damage. He's going to send another $6 billion to Ukraine. He's going to pardon some more really bad people. And man, the people he's pardoned and commuted sentence, he's holding nothing back. He will pardon more of his family members. He may even pardon himself. He will probably pardon Anthony Fauci and Liz Cheney, who both belong in prison. But there was a couple of, over the weekend, over the holiday, over Christmas, there were a couple of revelations about Joe Biden, which were no surprise at all whatsoever. No surprise. But wow. Jimmy Carter's approval rating in 1979, 31%. Here's my favorite factoid about Jimmy Carter before we move on to Joe Biden. Babe Ruth hit 430 home runs during Jimmy Carter's life. 100 years. Oh, by the way, his final public appearance he was used by Democrats, used by Kamala Harris to get out the vote. She said, if Jimmy Carter can vote, you can vote. Jimmy Carter didn't vote. Jimmy Carter was wheeled into a polling place by his shameless family members, put on display when he was on death's doorstep, when he was not lucid, he was not aware. It was very sad that they did this. I will always give Nancy Reagan credit. When Ronald Reagan, in his final years, you don't see any pictures, you don't see any video. She kept him out of the public eye because he was not well. Well, Jimmy Carter's family had no such compassion for him, and they wheeled him out and took pictures when he was no longer aware of what they were doing to him. It really was shameless. And you know what? It's going to end. There it is. God, that is disgusting. Can you imagine doing that to a loved one? We're looking at a photo of Carter, not barely clinging to life, mouth agape, eyes closed, and they expect you to believe he went to the polling place and voted for Kamala Harris. Yeah, sure he did. You know what? He's going to vote again in 4 years, and he'll vote for the Democrat in Georgia. But all right, let's move to the man who unseated him. Yes, congratulations to Jimmy Carter, because you will not be remembered as the worst president in American history, not with the guy who has 21 days left in office while he's still doing damage to this country. I'm pretty sure we will remember Joe Biden as the ultimate disgrace. Here's Joe Biden in St. Croix. Yes, he's sponging off some billionaire one last time before leaving office, taking Air Force One to the Caribbean to spend time with Hunter. Hunter is there with him, of course. And Joe Biden makes a statement which is so rich. He wants Jimmy Carter to be remembered for decency. Yes, I agree. He should be remembered for decency, which is something you will never be remembered for, Joe Biden. I can hardly believe he uses that word, decency. Joe Biden, yes, the man who wouldn't acknowledge his youngest granddaughter because her mother was a stripper and her father was a worthless crackhead. Here's Joe Biden on his memories, his thoughts on Jimmy Carter yesterday. Go ahead.
Thank you. President Trump to take from President Carter?
Decency. 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 Everybody deserves a shot. Everybody. Can you imagine Jimmy Carter walking by someone who needs something and just keep walking? Can you imagine Jimmy Carter referring to someone by the way they look or the way they talk? I can't. I can't. You know, I think the end of the deal here is that one of the reasons why we're looked to by the rest of the world, for the bulk of our our nation. We've laid out what our values are. We say we believe. It's not just in the Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, but there's a feeling. The rest of the world looks to us. And he was worth looking to. Well, thank you very much.
What is that? That is unbelievable. I mean, you know what? All the newspapers and websites had their obits ready. They knew this day was coming. They were ready to go. That man was not ready to go. You have thoughts about Jimmy Carter? Decency. And then he's rambling about the Declaration of Independence. You don't have any stories to tell about Jimmy Carter? And he called him like a second father. He said he was a second father to him. And that's the best he could do. He says, we hold these truths and blah, 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 and he walks away. Well, that man has 3 weeks left in office, and that January 20th cannot come soon enough. And we are going to enjoy the media attempting to save face, attempting to right the wrongs of the last 4 years. We got to get to this CBS story. A CBS reporter was asked what the most underreported story was in the last year, and she actually said Joe Biden's decline. It just wasn't covered enough. Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline. Gee, whose job was it to report that, you think? CBS News. We'll get to that. Oh, and Joe Biden has one big regret. One big regret in the last 4 years. Guess what it is? He wishes he didn't withdraw from the race. He thinks he could have beaten Donald Trump and served another 4 years. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden's not going to live another 4 years. He thinks he could be president for another 4 years. Man, he is delusional. We'll get to that and a lot more on today's Callahan Show. But first,
Excuse me.
do you wake up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, or ringing in your ears from grinding and clenching your teeth at night? I've been through this. It's fairly common, and dentists charge $600 for a bruxism night guard. Many people are now discovering the Brux Night Guard. Unlike regular night guards that go all the way to the back of the teeth, Brux Night Guard only covers the front teeth. This unique design is what sets Brux Night Guard apart from all other guards. It only covers the front teeth, so the bite force is directed away from the back, where many people grind and clench to help reduce jaw pain and still protect the teeth. You mold it at home to the top and bottom teeth. And unlike other guards, it is made in America and uses two materials for added durability. Order a Brux Night Guard today and use the code MAX22 to get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to bruxnightguard.com and enter the code word MAX22. I should correct. Joe Biden has two big regrets, we've learned. Two. One, that he withdrew from the race. He didn't withdraw. He was forced out by Kamala Harris and a cabal of party bosses. His other big regret was appointing Merrick Garland. He wasn't aggressive enough in prosecuting Donald Trump. He didn't succeed in putting Trump in prison. Let's set the record straight. Merrick Garland was the most partisan attorney general we've ever seen. He stopped at nothing to prosecute Trump, but he didn't succeed. So Joe Biden has regrets, wishing Merrick Garland did more to imprison his political enemy. But let's get to that big regret. The big regret. This is hilarious. This from the Washington Post. Joe Biden regrets pulling out of the 2024 presidential race and believes he could have beaten Donald Trump for the White House, according to the Post. The outgoing president backed out of the race over the summer following a disastrous debate against his Republican rival, low approval ratings, and dwindling donations. But Biden recently told people that despite the issues his campaign faced, he is confident he could have defeated Trump in November. You know what? This man is not just dishonest. He's not just corrupt. He is the most delusional human being. He thinks he could have won. Need I remind you, Joe, you would have had one more debate against Donald Trump, one more debate where you had to stand and go toe-to-toe for an hour and a half. I'm sure that the moderator would have been on your side, just like they were in June, but I don't think that would have gone well. And this is why you're going to hear more from Biden behind the scenes attacking Kamala, because Kamala, as I've explained many times, was instrumental in removing Trump, in removing Biden. He would not have quit if she weren't on board with the coup. And he wouldn't have quit if they didn't threaten the 25th Amendment. The man is stubborn. He's a narcissist. He really believes he could serve another 4 years. I can hardly say it without laughing. 4 more years of the guy you just heard from in St. Croix. Yes, he thinks he could have won. And he is happy she lost because he will brag for the rest of his life, however short that may be. He and his family and his close friends and advisors, they will boast that Joe Biden is the only man who has ever defeated Donald Trump. That's his claim to fame, and it always will be. But he regrets leaving the race and thinks he would have won. That is hilarious. And regrets Merrick Garland, the choice of Merrick Garland. God, this guy, he truly is pathetic, says Jack on the chat line. He is truly embarrassing, but he's not quite, to me, quite as embarrassing as the mainstream media and their attempts to save face after covering up for Joe Biden for 4 years. Let's get that straight. This is not a 1 year thing. It's a 4 year thing, as we learned in that Wall Street Journal story, as we learned because we have eyes and we saw over and over again the man shaking hands with imaginary people and shouting out the name of a dead congresswoman and wandering aimlessly around the stage and just losing his way. We saw it in the debate on June 27th. We know he's no longer in control of his faculties. We know they covered it up. We know from the Wall Street Journal story that he couldn't meet with people in the morning. He couldn't do meetings in the afternoon. He had only 9 cabinet meetings. And when he had cabinet meetings, his cabinet had to submit written questions. He couldn't even have conversations with his own cabinet officials. He's been shot. He's been gone for the entire 4 years. We know it. We saw it. And the media covered it up. Well, a CBS reporter named Jan Crawford, a veteran CBS reporter, was on Face the Nation over the weekend, and this subject came up. It's year-end stuff. What's the biggest thing that happened over the last year? You know, let's wrap up the year as everyone does. And she's asked, what was the most underreported, the most ignored, neglected story of 2024? And man, you talk about a lack of self-awareness. Listen to her answer to that. Go ahead.
That would be, to me, Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable in the televised debate.
At the presidential debate with Trump.
Unquestioned. And, you know, it's starting to emerge now that his advisors kind of managed his limitations. It's been reported in the Wall Street Journal for 4 years. And yet he insisted that he could still run for president. We should have much more forcefully questioned whether he was fit for office for another 4 years, which could have led to a primary for the Democrats. It could have changed the scope of the entire election. Yet still, incredibly, we read in the Washington Post that his advisors are saying that he regrets that he dropped out of the race. You know, that he thinks he could have beaten Trump. And I think that is either delusional or they're gaslighting.
Oh, God. Okay, lady. Who underreported the story? Who? Was it CBS News, ABC, NBC, CNN? They underreported the story of Joe Biden's obvious mental decline. They're the ones. The call is coming from inside the house. You did that, and you did that intentionally. We know you did that. We watched. We saw. That's the amazing thing about this gaslighting you're getting from the media is it wasn't anonymous sources. Obviously the Wall Street Journal piece had many anonymous sources speaking off the record about Joe Biden's mental state, but we have eyes. We've seen the clips. We've seen the video. We've seen the speeches, the debates. We don't need you, even though you were totally in the tank. You were covering up. It is the greatest political scandal of our time that we had a senile president And we had people, not just in the administration, but in the media, who were covering it up, who were lying to us every day, who were telling us he was tip-top. We played you that Joe Scarborough cut many times. That, by the way, I think the Media Research Center named that the biggest lie of 2024. In March, Joe Scarborough said, Joe Biden is the best he's ever been. The best. This Joe Biden is the best Joe Biden ever, mentally, analytically. Then you had everyone, Mayorkas and KJP and Kamala Harris saying he's tip-top, sharp as a tack. Can't even keep up with him. We try. We can't keep up with the guy. You can't keep up with a guy who can't hold meetings in the morning or in the afternoon. A guy who can't meet with his cabinet, who can't have conversations with people in his own administration because he was so confused, because he wasn't lucid any longer. You want to do Joe Scarborough one more time. We're going to do it on this show, on the Callahan Show. We're going to name the lie of the year. We went over this last week. PolitiFact named the lie of the year, Trump saying they're eating the dogs. I would say this was a little bit more brazen because there's people who claim that there are residents of Springfield, Ohio that said they were eating the pets, and Trump just repeated it and they went nuts. But this is Joe Scarborough, knowing he's lying to his viewers, knowing he's just carrying water for the administration, looking into the camera and lying to America. Watch this.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. Mm-hmm. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and I don't really, I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years.
The best Biden ever. That was March. June, he had the meltdown in the debate with Trump. And July, they forced him out of the race. And today, that's Joe Biden's favorite show, by the way. That's all he did in the morning. He didn't meet with anybody. He sat in his robe, eating his mapo and watching Joe Scarborough lie about him. That is just incredible. Let's get to the CBS video, because just a reminder, the reporter from CBS said the most underreported story was the decline of Joe Biden. They not only didn't report it, they lied to you. Why do we all know Joe Biden was in decline? Because we saw videos. We saw him in France on D-Day wandering aimlessly. We saw him wander off into the rainforest in South America. We've seen him on stage. He never can find his way off stage, on stage. We see him attempt to call on members of the media. They give him, not only they give him the names of the people he's supposed to call, they give him pictures, and he still would get confused. We've watched for 4 years. We've listened to their lies. They want you to believe the videos you saw, not the anonymous sources or new reports of people in his inner circle, but videos of a senile, confused old man. CBS wants you to believe those weren't real. This was this year, the same year that their reporter claimed it was the most underreported story. It wasn't underreported. It was lied about. They lied to you. Here is CBS telling you all those videos, they're fake. The videos you see every day that we played every day, they're not real. They're deep fakes. They're cheap fakes. Check this out. Go ahead.
You've probably heard of deep fakes, but just last week, as President Biden was at the G7 summit in Italy, cheap fake clips went viral on social media and were picked up by some news outlets. Take a look at this clip, for example. It shows Biden and other world leaders watching a skydiving demonstration before the president is seen walking away and looking in another direction. Outlets claimed that he was sort of just aimlessly wandering away. The clip amassed millions of views within just a few hours, when actually if you widen out, you can see that he was talking to one of the members of the military that was participating in that demonstration. So how prevalent are cheap fakes? And how big of a problem will they be in this election? Well, let's take a look with executive editor of CBS News Confirmed, Rona Tarrant, who joins us now from Studio 57 to explain. Hi, Rona. It's great to see you.
Hi.
So tell us how long cheap fakes have been around. I'm assuming they've been around since the beginning of the media, because anybody can take an image and manipulate it to make it look like it suggests something that didn't happen.
That's exactly it. It really is a case of old techniques meets new technology. So as you said, cheap fake videos, and that's videos that are edited in a really simple way. Those have been around as long as political videos have existed. So there's a few ways, for example, that people might be familiar with. One is there might be a long video and you might take a very short clip and you take out key context.
Oh, shut up. I've had enough. This is the executive editor from CBS News coming on to their evening news to tell you, don't believe your lying eyes. They edited the video. We just watched the video. We saw him wander off. She doesn't even mention that Giorgia Meloni, the Italian, president, prime minister, has to go over and grab him by the arm and pull him back, like, which is what you do when an old person with dementia gets lost. We watched it, and then they come on and say, don't believe it. Don't believe what you saw. Hat tip to Western Lensman, who's a great follow on Twitter, for posting that this morning after the CBS News reporter said that we just haven't given enough coverage to Joe Biden's decline. We tried, damn it. We tried. Speak for yourself, CBS. Thank God we have alternative media outlets. Can you imagine how much they'd lie to you if they were never called on it? They wouldn't even show you that video. And they wouldn't show you any of these videos. They would be still engaged in a mass cover-up, but their jig is up. It's over. It was a tough year. It was a tough 4 years for the mainstream media. They get to go back to work now, by the way. We're actually going to have the networks and CNN and MSNBC critically covering the White House. And we're going to have press conferences where a president actually takes questions and jousts with the media. It's going to be a whole new look for the mainstream media in DC. We'll get to CNN. By the way, another thing we're going to learn about, not just Joe Biden's cognitive decline, we're going to learn about Joe Biden's just abject corruption. You know, all those stories we told you about him taking money from China and from Ukraine and from Romania and Russia and enriching his family. We're going to be allowed. The mainstream media is going to be allowed to tell you about that. We have one, I'd say, probably top 5 biggest lies Joe Biden ever told, that he never met with Hunter's business partners. Well, turns out he did. We get to tell you about that now that the race is over and he's on his way out. But yes, he lied over and over again about that. And we have an amazing clip from CNN where their anchor, Abby Phillip, finally learns exactly how Joe Biden enriched his family and sold out this country. We'll get to that. And my NFL recap. I'm going to make my choice for NFL MVP. I watched way too much NFL football and college football. By the way, college football, their playoff is way too big. 12 teams is way too many. It doesn't feel big anymore. The ratings went down from the conference championship games to the playoff because the playoffs don't feel, there's no buzz to them. There's too many teams. It'll get good, but so far it hasn't been good. And I'll give you my thoughts on that too. We'll get to our NFL wrap up and more. But first,
Excuse me.
do you want a better way to simplify finance operations for your business across expenses, vendor payments, and accounting? If so, Ramp could be a complete game changer for you. Ramp is the corporate card and spend management software designed to help you save time and put money in your pocket. Ramp gives finance teams unprecedented control and insight into company spend. With Ramp, you're able to issue cards to every employee with limits and restrictions and automate expense reporting so you can stop wasting time at the end of every month. Ramp saves you money. Businesses that use Ramp save an average of 5% in the first year. Ramp is easy to use. Get started, issue virtual and physical cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes. Whether you have 5 employees or 5,000, doesn't matter. And now you get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Jerry. That's ramp.com/Jerry, ramp.com/GERRY. Cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. All right, big day here, Ironhead. Big day, December. You know what? Because so many people are just taking the week off. Not us. We're going to be here, at least for a day or two. We'll see. Had to do today. There's so much good stuff. This clip from CNN is just priceless. As we know, Scott Jennings is saving CNN. He's amazing. He goes on this show a lot with Abby Phillip, goes against 4 liberals and holds his own, more than holds his own, just kicks ass. Scott Jennings is just a hero, a treasure these days. But it wasn't just Scott Jennings on this show. This is Abby Phillip. She's the host. And Congressman Mike Lawler from New York is on the show with her. And she's, as usual, parroting the line that Joe Biden, there's no evidence Joe Biden enriched his family. What? Have you paid any attention at all, Abby? Of course there's evidence. There's a mountain of evidence. There's more evidence against Joe Biden and Hunter and Jim and Frank and the whole family than we've ever seen against their president. It's just an amazing thing that they do not want to cover it. The man is corrupt to the core. He has sold out his country. He's sold out the office, and they just don't want to believe it. And she claims because Merrick Garland won't prosecute Joe Biden, that there's no evidence, that there's just no evidence. And she gets schooled. She doesn't want to hear it. She interrupts and tries to stop these guys from school, from informing her, explaining to her. But the message is clear. Lawler explains it simply so even CNN viewers can understand. Watch this.
I am still waiting.
Speculative?
After 4 years of Donald Trump.
Did money not change hands?
Scott.
Did it not?
4 years of Donald Trump, 4 years of a Joe Biden DOJ looking into these very things. I'm still waiting to see.
Well, he can't be charged. He's the president.
Right? I'm
Joe
still
Biden
waiting.
can't be
I'm
charged.
just. I'm not talking about charges. I'm still waiting to see the proof of Joe Biden enriching himself. I take his brother and his son, perhaps.
I'll give you
but that is, I think that is yet to materialize. Otherwise,
I'll give you the
your
direct
colleague, James Comer, could have produced the evidence, and he didn't.
He did. A Chinese company transferred money to a shell company owned by Hunter and Jim Biden that then transferred money directly to Jim and Sarah Biden's shell company that then transferred the money to Jim and Sarah's personal account, who then immediately wrote a check for $40,000 to Joe Biden. So to say that there was no evidence, to say there was no evidence is not true. It's not true.
What I'm saying is that Trump was president for 4 years. He wanted to charge Joe Biden. Why did the charges not come? And I think that still remains an open question. If there is something illegal happening here, there should be charges on the basis of what you're saying, and there have not been.
Well, he just pardoned Hunter
that is
for an 11-year time period.
Hunter Biden
An 11-year time period.
Hang on, guys.
Jim will be next, by the way.
We're waiting for the charges, and when the charges come, we'll have a conversation about that. I promise you that. Solomon Jones, thank you very much.
Sure, you will. Yeah, you will. When the charges come, they can't be charges. It's the House Oversight Committee. He just explained to you what Jim Comer at the House Oversight Committee has revealed. He explained to you how it went from shell company to shell company. Why did he have those shell companies, Abby? Why? Why did they use encrypted messages? Why did they use burner phones? She has no interest in this incredible criminal enterprise led by the president. And by the way, she says, I understand his brother and his son. Why do you think his brother and his son were getting money from the Chinese, Abby? Does that raise any questions to you? His brother writes a check after the same day, by the way, that he put the money in his shell company, wrote a check to Joe Biden. And she says, I haven't seen any evidence. Did she say Joe Biden has never met with Hunter's business partners? Because this was another one. Since the election's over and Joe Biden's done and they can't do any damage to the Democrats, the National Archives finally released photos of Joe Biden with Hunter's business partners, including Xi Jinping. Yes, with Hunter's Chinese business partners. I asked this question 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago now. Hunter Biden flew to China on Air Force Two with Joe Biden to China, a 15-hour flight. And when it was over, he said he had no idea why Hunter was, what Hunter was doing in China. So he flew to China with his own son and then claimed he didn't know what Hunter was up to when he was in China. And the media bought it and repeated it. Here it is. Pictures of Joe Biden with Hunter's business partners in China, including President Xi. And there is Hunter with, I assume, one of his, some of his ill-gotten gains. He's gotten it, not just money, not just millions for the family. I mean, the whole family. He's gotten a diamond, a Porsche, and he probably got that vase from his business partners. This is proof that Joe Biden has lied over and over and over again. He's told you over, including in debates, in press conferences, no, I never met with Hunter's business partners. And the media, Abby Phillip, Washington Post, New York Times will say there's no evidence. What do you call that? What you're looking at right now? Do we have Biden saying he never met with Hunter's? But he is just such a, he lies so instinctively, comfortably, casually. If he's talking, he's lying. He does not flinch. He just so cavalier in the lies he tells. I mean, just flat out claims, no, I never met with my son's business partners. Here he is.
President Biden, on Ukraine and also China, there's polling by the Associated Press that shows that almost 70% of Americans, including 40% of Democrats, believe that you acted either illegally or unethically in regards to your family's business interests. Can you explain to the Americans, amid this impeachment inquiry, why you interacted with so many of your son and brother's foreign business associates?
I'm not going to comment on that. I did not. And it's just a bunch of lies.
You didn't interact with many of their business associates?
I did not. There's lies.
They're lies. My son never made money in China, he said in the debate with Trump in 2020. Never made money. Only one who made money was this guy, he said. Look at him there. There he is. And there, look how happy Hunter is. How high Hunter is. This is Joe Biden and his business partner, his front man, his bag man, crackhead Hunter. And he must have cashed in. We're going to find out. I mean, Joe Biden's obviously going to live very comfortably in his post-presidency, however long that lasts. But I think maybe some in the media will want to, finally do some journalism and tell you about this scheme. But he is not going to go out with dignity or decency. No, that will be the difference between Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden. All right, I got to get to my thoughts on the NFL. I will tell you why the MVP of the league is the quarterback of an 8-8 team. Yes, and we'll tell you who the rest of the media is picking for MVP. And you know what? I'm so sick. I love the NFL. I love watching young quarterbacks play. Why do the refs have to ruin every game? I feel like they ruin every game. The players are great, spectacular. The play is great. The refs suck. just going to say it. They suck. They don't know what holding is. Do they want TV time? Do they all want to be part of the game? They want to get in the way. It's just so frustrating. But the players are great, especially the quarterback of a 500 team who deserves the MVP. I'll tell you who that is and more. But first, all right. The debate, you know what? There's only 1 week left. 1 week left. And we don't know who the MVP is. The quarterback, you know why the NFL is so great? Because the quarterbacks are great. That's why I don't jump on the bandwagon and say it's flag football, it's touch football. They're protecting quarterbacks. They have to protect the quarterbacks because they're so important. You watch like Miami yesterday and you see Tua on the sideline, you say, damn, unless you're, a Dolphins fan, you don't want to watch the backup. You don't want to watch, some scrub in there. You want to watch the best. And the best quarterbacks are so entertaining, including rookies. The Patriots have like one good player. It's their rookie quarterback, Drake May. Rest of the team stinks. He has no good skill players. His offensive line stinks, but he is the real deal. I think he's going to have a really good career. If they get the top pick, they got to just pick the best left tackle, period, and protect him and get some wideouts who can get open too. Unlike Drake May, Jaden Daniels in Washington has managed to take his team to the playoffs, which is remarkable. Your rookie of the year is a no-brainer. Jaden Daniels should be unanimous. He is amazing. What a comeback. Washington Redskins, the Commanders, have come back from 10 points down 2 weeks in a row for the first time in franchise history because of this spectacular rookie, Jaden Daniels, who went second. Drake May went third. The guy who paints his fingernails went first. He is struggling, Caleb Williams. But the veteran QBs are just putting on shows. They really are. Josh Allen's had a terrific year. We'll see if he can get over the hump, get to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson, who's won 2 MVPs, has never played in a Super Bowl. Those guys, they need it. They need a Super Bowl, at least a Super Bowl appearance. But to me, the best season is a guy whose team is 8-8 and has to win and get lucky in week 18. Cincinnati Bengals have had a disappointing season. Again, they're 500. They're still in the hunt, but they have to win Sunday against the Steelers, and they need the Broncos and Dolphins both to lose to make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, it ain't Joe Burrow's fault. Usually these things matter. Joe Burrow leads the NFL by far in passing yards, in touchdown passes. He's third in QB rating. Lamar Jackson is first in QB rating and has had an amazing year. He's first by a mile, by the way. But Joe Burrow's numbers just off the charts. He's doing everything he can, anything a quarterback could do. He's got 42 touchdowns. No, he's got how many times? Let me get to Burrow. 42 touchdowns, 8 picks. He's got far and away. He's going to probably throw for 5,000 yards. He's got Jamar Chase. He's got T. Higgins. He's got some weapons, which helps. Obviously, the reason they're 8-8 is I don't think he's got a very good coach and he doesn't have a very good defense. I'm going with Burrow for MVP. If he doesn't get in the playoffs, he has no chance because Jackson and Josh Allen have had great seasons, but Josh Allen's not even close statistically. He's only got 22 touchdown passes. He's almost 1,000 yards behind Burrow in passing, and obviously, and he's getting some support. Micah Parsons came out over the weekend and said his choice for MVP is Joe Burrow. You're going to punish a guy who puts up 30 points a game. I think he's put up 30 like 8 or 9 times. You're going to punish him because his defense can't keep anyone out of the end zone. I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. He's done everything he could, and he's got better numbers across the board than these other quarterbacks. Here's what might happen is I'll tell you who ESPN, for the most part, is going to choose for MVP. Lamar Jackson. Take a guess why. Because as Ryan Clark, ESPN star Ryan Clark said, he's an authentic black quarterback. Yes, that's what he said. Lamar Jackson should, and he said he's underappreciated. Yet Ryan Clark thinks a 2-time MVP who's never played in the Super Bowl is underappreciated. Now, he's a spectacular quarterback, great quarterback. I'm not going to have a problem if he wins his 3rd MVP. He's got better numbers than Josh Allen. And they're both obviously won a lot of games, and they're both obviously going to the playoffs. Allen's 13-3, and Lamar Jackson's 11-5. They're both going to win their divisions. So, I mean, they're great quarterbacks, but Burrow has better numbers, is a better quarterback. I do want to give him my thoughts on college football, because what I watched over the weekend was an amazing thing. The University of Miami's superstar quarterback, Cam Ward, played in their bowl game. He played against Iowa, played half the game. He sat out the second half to protect himself from injury. Now, I understand guys do this. They opt out of bowl games because they don't want to get hurt. But you opt out of half a game? He played half a game because he wanted to break a record. When he left the game, I think it was tied, half game. I was watching halftime. And he sat on the sidelines and watched his backup play the second half, and they lost the game. I don't understand why all the teams can't do what Colorado did, what Deion Sanders did for his son, Shedeur, who might be the number 1 pick, and for Travis Hunter. They took out big insurance policies for those guys in case of injury. Why don't they all do that? Why can't Miami do that? They got money. They got donors, supporters. Why can't every team do that and allow these college kids to play their bowl games? Someone has to explain that to me. He sits out half a game and watches his team from the sideline lose a bowl game. And I guess that is the state of college football, where the players are in charge now, where the players call the shots. But it was a strange decision. I was wondering if he would say, "Put me back in, coach. We got to win this game." But no, he's healthy. He didn't get injured. He's going to be a top pick, probably be a good pro. We got lots of good QBs coming down the pipeline next year, which means that the game will continue to thrive, because, God, these young QBs, they come into the league ready. That's why they should start day one. The Patriots should have started Drake May day one. They held him out for 5 games. Not that it matters. They're hopeless. They're a mess. But the kid is good. He is the real deal, and he's going to be good. His stats aren't good because his team stinks, and he's no Jaden Daniels, but he's damn good. But the idea that you fight with your teammates all year and then half a bowl game, and then you say, "I don't want to get hurt. I'm out." Doesn't make any sense to me. Particularly, hell, the players make a lot of money. They could take the insurance policy out themselves and play the bowl game. But that was a strange moment in college sports. But anyway, that will do it for today. Looking forward to week 18 in the NFL. Lots of playoff implications. The Chiefs are going to play their scrubs. They're not going to play their starters. So the Chiefs will probably lose for the second time. I wonder if they would play if they were 16-0. They're 15-1. Would Mahomes and Kelsey and all the guys play?
Definitely.
If they were at a chance to go undefeated, it's probably better that they've lost a game. Now they can rest up for the playoffs. And obviously everyone has to go through Kansas City. So that's a big edge for the Kansas City Chiefs. But we remind you, they're not a great team this year. They're good. They win close games. They win every game by 3 points, but they're not the juggernaut they've been the last 2 years. So playoffs will be interesting. All right. We will leave it there on this Monday. 21 days to go in the disastrous Joe Biden regime. 21 is an easy one. 21 is Tim Duncan, Roger Clemens, Roberto Clemente, Deion Sanders, and his son, the safety. Not the quarterback, the safety was number 21. The QB, Shedeur, man, he took a beating in their bowl game. They just got trounced. But at least he played. I'll give him credit. He played. But, all All right, that will do it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again, I think, tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous.